Hey everybody, Asher here, and it is Free Play Friday. Very excited to bring Sunless Sea to you today. This is from the Humble Indie Bundle 16, which was released just a few days ago. And there's a few games on it that I had my eye on. Pretty much all the games on it I was interested in, except Outlast, because that's not my kind of game. Not that kind of horror. No, Sunless Sea, on the other hand, is very much a horror game, but in a very different vein as well. And we're going to be taking a look at it today. I have played it some, but I'm going to be starting a new game here, just because I think that's the best way to kind of dive in, drop in. You'll get some of the backstory that way, but the best way to summarize Sunless Sea is that it is a game that focuses on exploration, has quite a bit of downtime, has a world that is very well developed, but that not many people, not even its own inhabitants, really understand. And it doesn't hide from that. So it's a text-heavy game. There's a lot of reading. I think it's very appropriate for a Friday where you just want to listen to this kind of music, watch the beacon, this buoy here, slowly wave in the fog here, and just go off and hope that the Lovecraftian horrors of the sea do not swallow you whole, or your crew. We're just going to hit the new game button here. So this is Sunless Sea, and this is kind of what it looks like here from the start. What we're going to be doing first is creating a character, and then we will be exploring the world around Fallen London. What is Fallen London? Well, we'll find out here as we kind of talk about this. 3 decades ago, in a region of Victorian London was stolen by bats. Now it lies a mile below the surface. This is Welcome to Victorian Era London, Fallen London, should I say, middle 1800s. It was dreadfully inconvenient for everyone, but it opened a vast black ocean to you. Welcome to the Undersea. So we can choose a past, or we can do a past wreathed in shadows, which we're not going to do. We'll choose a past, so we'll figure out who we are here. So you now lodge in a room above the blind helmsman. And you're going to get little save icons here. This game is kind of a roguelike. I mean, technically, the world will randomize itself a little bit, but it's more about exploring the world. That's just really interesting. I mean, there's death and everything, but like I said, we'll cross the bridge as we reach it here. Now, you have all kinds of different options to you here. We could be a street urchin, and this is all of your past here. Your urchin gang cast you out when you grew too tall. You took to the sea rather than graduate to larger crimes. The last big score was enough to buy a ship. So this will give you a bonus to Veils. There's different stats here. Hearts, Inspired, Heal, Defend, Veils, Speed, Stealth, Deception. Pages, Esoteric, and occasionally Practical Knowledge. Mirrors, Detection and Perception, and Iron, which is pretty much Strength. So you kind of have your 5 stats here to balance. This one will tell you what it kind of goes up to. I'm going to select a poet because that does help in gathering secrets, which is fairly important and hard to raise later on. A poet, educated and articulate, you seek a sensation at sea. How lucky you had a legacy to spend. Your long-vanished father has a rich patron, it seems. So we will give bonus pages, and that's all well and good. I do want to read some of these other ones, though. The veteran of the campaign is 68. That's 1868. You fought in the invasion of hell. London's armies lost. You survived. Your loot and your pension have brought you command, so that will give you a start with more irons or strength here. An ordained priest, you fell from grace. There's nothing left ashore for you, and anonymous benefactors found this way out for you. Perhaps at Z you can overcome your appetites. So not so ordained priest. And then a natural philosopher, which is another word for scientist if we're going back to 1800s language. Your particular theories on time, blood, and starlight brought you down to the Neath, the cavern where London lies. And now it takes you out to Z. So we're going to be doing this as a poet, because we didn't even know it. So where's wise soul experience? You have intuition. And your friend, the sly navigator. He's a little vague, but he probably knows what he's doing. Perhaps you can find somewhere better eventually. So you can talk to the navigator to find out what he wants to see. And you'll see a lot of S and Z interchanges here. So we have 25 pages, new total of 50. We have 1 sly navigator. You have 20 echo, which is the currency here, up to 70. You were a struggling poet, and now you're a Z captain. Isn't that easy? And your strange equality is gone. Welcome to the world. So we have different win conditions that we can get, which is nice, except for Private Kingdom, which we can't do yet. We could do the story quest for finding your father's bones. We could do a quest for fulfillment, which is getting 100 taels, which is a little easier to do as a poet here. We could do wealth, which is essentially buying a mansion, clothes, servants, etc., and then retiring off. I'm going to do father's bones, if only because that gives a little bit of narrative here. So it says, your father was lost at sea. You never knew him, but you often dreamed of him. Find and return his remains to London for a decent burial. Because sure, there's the vast sea out there. We'll talk about that in a little bit. So, full fathom 5. Find out where he fell and bring him home. When you found your father's bones, you can retire to victory. Explore Fallen London to find the first clue. So to currents, and you're going to see these things pop up quite a bit. Objective, ambition, quality is now find your father's bones and then retire. And then the last scrap of paperwork. Captain, irregularity with the harbor's office. They wish to know what term to address you on shore. So we can do Madam, Sir, Citizen, My Lord, My Lady, or Captain. We'll just do Sir. I almost said Madam. More Z captains use this than you might expect. Yeah, that's probably true. So we're now being addressed as Sir, and we get to choose a face. I'm going to go with diving helmet because why not? Because we're a poet with a diving helmet, obviously. So your father lost at Z so long ago. The trial was cold, but now you have a lead. Mr. John Huffman, editor of the unexpurgated, I mispronounced that, London Gazette. He published your poetry from time to time. 1 week ago, he casually mentioned that your turn of phrase is very like your father's turn of phrase. That's interesting. And this is how a lot of the game goes and interacts. We are going to be going to the sea here very shortly, but there's a lot that you can do here just from this manual and everything else. And it's very text-based, very text-heavy. One of the more interesting things that I'll say as a side here is if you look at the Steam achievements for Sunless Sea, even the global achievements, so the highest one I think has 35% or something. So a lot of people maybe get into this game and say, oh, I'll get to it later. But you can play for a few hours and not do anything that would trigger an achievement. There's just a lot that you can just kind of do. But we'll get off to that. So, coffee at Caligula's. Huffman curls his fingers around a steaming cup, a protection against the dank, cold air in the morning. Oh, yes, I knew him. A man of some talent, your father, but he turned that talent to love poetry. Ghostwriting it, if you understand me. And as you may know, love poetry draws the attention of a particular power. He glances out the window. You follow his gaze to where the spires of the Echo Bazaar rise above London. Huffman leans forward. Masters of the Bazaar, he says very quietly, took an interest in your father. So although I liked him and although I like you, I need something to set against the risk. Bring me news, and news from the Z. So bring Huffman a Z story, a tale of terror, and a memory of distant shores. And he will tell you more. They can be found in many places around the Z and purchased from away in Iram. So, far away, I can't even read. So we have objectives here, and yes, these are all items that you can get. A tale of terror, a memory of distant shores. One of the things that's really interesting about this game to me, if we just look at our hold real quick, we do have some fuel, we do have some supplies, we have a little bit of money. We're going to get a little more in a second. Because this is the manual, and we can actually sell the manual for 50 echoes, which is pretty good. Let's go ahead and do this. This is the much lamented M, which it does go over the basics really well without spoiling anything, but we're going to sell this book because we need 50. Someone else better appreciate this. Once you get your bearings here, the game's not that complicated from a gameplay standpoint. It's complicated in a lot of other ways, which is what I tend to enjoy. So, Fallen London, deep, dark, marvelous. Of all voyages start here, and this is where successful voyages end. So we have different options for it here. We can go to our lodgings. You can do Father's Bones, which we do have a journal that will go into some of what you need to do here. There's a lot of different just little details there. We'll go to your lodgings first because there's always things you can do. Here you may catch up with your correspondence, rest or retire altogether from seafaring life. The better your lodgings, the better quality your retirement, naturally. And right now we're only staying at the Blind Helmsman, but we don't need to stay right now. So that's why it's locked, because we haven't actually been out to sea yet, but we can still read the morning paper. The unexpurgated, there we go, Gazette. The magazine formerly known as the London Magazine, the spiteful Trumpster news. And this will give us recent news. So there you go. The continent is threatening war. They always are. London's colonies and the Canadian coast want independence. They always do. The Undersea, the paper's report has undergone another alteration. Not yet. It hasn't. You know. Well, would we? We haven't been out to see it. Oh, a promotion coupon for Miss Plenty's Provisioners, a half cask of salt herring. You could use that. So just by reading the newspaper, we got an additional supply. There's all kinds of things up here. We're going to talk about what a lot of these mean in just a minute here. But we did get an item called recent news, which is a very important thing because outlying colonies are often want to hear about this, and we are going to be going out to the sea here. We do have supplies, which will feed hunger. We have fuel, which lets us go. We have hull, which doesn't go which we don't have a very big ship yet. We'll get to that in a minute. We have 16 out of 40 capacity, and then we have 0 terror. Terror is the mechanic in this game that kind of drives you to go around here. This is very much an exploration game to a point. So when I say that, I mean that you're shackled kind of by your resources. You can't go, but only so far. And sometimes terror is that limiting factor, because bad things start to happen the more you get scared at sea. And we'll talk about that. But first, let's go to London. Note that there's no like overtown or anything to walk through. This is all done through text. So visit the Admiralty Survey Office. We can't do that yet. We don't need to do that. Visit the university. We need to have a secret to do that. Corrals the Wolfsack docks. We don't have a free day yet because we haven't actually gone out to see it. We can hire more crew. We have 8 out of 10 right now. We can put the ship on dry dock. We can offer passage to a tomb colonist, so an immigrant will pay to be taken north to Vanderblight. That's probably good to do. And then we're not going to do a new recruit or anything. So it's oddly difficult to die and fall in London. But when a Londoner is too tatty and wretched to live, they wrap themselves in bandages and take the ship to the tomb colonies. Your crew cart these one aboard in padded coffins. They'll sleep until their journey is done. So here we go. You can take them to the north, and now we have in our hold a actual tomb colonist right there. Technically passengers rather than goods, but you never know. To talk to them. So there we go. We're just pretty much sending somebody on. Now we do have a weapon. We do have engines, so that's all well and good. But the other thing before we go here, I don't think there's too much to do here just yet. We do have 120, and we have a first office here, Sly Navigator. Competent, probably. Trustworthy, possibly. We also have a mascot, a comatose ferret, mostly immobile. Occasionally, it's feral. So that gives us 1 bonus heart. He gives us 1 mirrors at this point, even though he is our navigator. And we can speak to him. Z Captain, look out there. It is not our friend. Do not forget that, or the Z. So we can give him secrets to increase mirrors. Or we can ask him what he wants, or we can make a proposition to him. And we don't want to romance him so much, so we'll go ask him what he wants. But now that you mention the Z is enough, but now that you mention it, I have always had a desire to see Frostfound, the place where the Z rises to become a castle. The place where the questions and riddles do battle for truth. He sighs dreamily, but is watching you carefully. Yes, Frostfound. So Frostfound can be found in the very north of the sea. So that's... If we take our crew members to certain places, good things happen. I mean, he's not like the best person to start off with or anything, but nobody really is. But if you complete quests for crew members, you get lots of money and other things. So there's lots of stores. London is one of the few stores that primarily goes through Echoes, but fortunately it's also a place where you can kind of gauge a fair price. So we do... Tin fuel's probably going to be enough. We will need some more supplies, probably. We did sell advice for captains. So let's see here. Let's buy a few more fuel. It's always funny once you find out that you're kind of capped by here. But we do have these things. Let's see. And we did get the free supply before. That was from an event. I think we're ready to go. I think we are ready to hit the shores. So London, doesn't seem like there's anything else. We don't want to put ourselves on dry dock. So let's go. Alright, we're going to get little tutorials here every time. And if we just look at the map real quick, this is how much we have explored so far. The map will change from time to time, but when I say it's kind of like a roguelike, I mean that things kind of stay the same. There's places that are usually where they're supposed to be, but we can launch now. We're actually starting to go through some supplies, but this is controlled with the WSAD keys. W and S go forward and back, or no, excuse me, W and S do backward or forward travel. A and S do left or right steering. So as we're going to go around here, you're going to see this meter tick up as we make discoveries of places. We're kind of going to loop around here a little bit. There's a few strategies that I can take here, because we do want to discover things, and lights make things a lot easier to discover. But On the other hand, lights also have us burn fuel very hard. So you can see our terror is rising just a touch. Okay, here's a crab. We can go and do some combat right now. See this crab? Combat is real time in this game. He is going to do a ramming attack at me. Maybe. Yeah. Oh, he did get me. And now I got to keep him in kind of my front cone here. And I can fire a shot. Okay, he's just going to hit us a little bit here. We'll just go for the kill right now. Whee! Firing solution. We don't have a great gunner here. But there's a lot of blood in the sea. And now that we've killed our first enemy here, we can go up here. We can butcher its supplies, or we can dissect it for knowledge. I'm going to butcher it for supplies. So lost 32 hunger. Pretty good. All's clear. So that's combat in a nutshell. You keep things in front of you and you shoot at them till they die. I mean, it sounds like a lot of other games. Apparently, in early access, the combat was very different and it's been greatly improved. One of the things where people are like, well, why do games go through wholesale changes in early access? Well, sometimes the design that you thought was pretty good, when it gets in the hands of everyone else, you kind of realize it's not so good. So we're going to go to a Quaker's Haven here in a second. I do want to show something else, though. If you press Z, you have a little companion bat that will actually fly around here. So we do have the Camelin Canal. It's a long way to the southwest. I don't think I want to go that way just yet. So we'll go up here, and you'll see little tick updates here every time. Little ships throwing the home water sailors dawdle on the rail, watching for the lights of London. As we have another crab. We actually have 2 crabs respawning. But here's Mutton Island. Fires on the hillside. Once a simple fishing village, was part of London suburbs before London fell. The waters rushed in. Smoke spirals from cottage chimneys. A lonely hill rises behind the town. So anytime we have this something awaits you at port icon come up, we can go to port and some events will unlock. But every time you go to different locations, there are certain things you'll want to do. We could drink and mingle. That'll reduce some terror. Sometimes other things can happen, but that costs half our money, so we're not going to do that. We can explore the shore, and sometimes random events will happen. We can pick up a wretched Mog, which is a cat, which would replace our ferret. At the cost of 3 supplies, I don't really want to do that. But every time you want to go here to locations, you want to get a port report. This one's a little bit different than some of the other ones here. So we got a few things we'll do. We'll start with exploring the shore. Wander a little way along the shore to the dock. And we see a man with a glittering eye turn and listen. There, long, lank, brown man at your shoulder, listen. I have a story for you. I say something about the gray beard compels your attention. Or leave. Don't look back. Once he catches your eye, it will be lost. Now, if I have 2 items here, a Z story and a tale of terror, I could turn the tables on him and tell him a story. But we're going to do this instead. So, a rambling tale. His story is long, wedding, full of murders and a leafless forest and a vast serpent which eats souls. The tale winds on and on like a serpent until you are lost in the dizzy toils of sinister ships and glamorous corpses. You're not awake, he's gone, but not, it seems, before searching your pockets for small change. So, we did gain 5 terror. Yep, out of 100. We lost 2 echo, so we're down to 38. But we got a tale of terror, which is very important because if we check our journal, we do actually need a tale. We need a Z story and a tale of terror and a memory of distant shores to do the first part of our quest. I don't think we'll necessarily be able to get all of that in this video, but that's the idea here. So we could also chat to the fishermen. We do have to have 1 echo for this, though, because everyone does something for a fee at this place. It's not like that everywhere. But little ships and little secrets. Pirates plying the waves. Smugglers at their work. Cotton ships putting in resupply. Nothing dramatic, but enough to interest the Admiralty. Okay. So we have a port report. We can turn that in for money. We lost 1 echo. But if we look at our hold here, once again, we have a port report. We're going to go to some other places and get some port reports too. Let's launch. As we have little crabbies coming around here. And I'm going to sail a little bit with the lights off. Because once we're out of kind of the light here, you're going to see this beacon go red. There we go. That means our terror is increasing very fast. But this is an important way to kind of save yourself just a little bit, because you don't want to lose all of your stuff. You'll lose fuel way too fast here. So we can send the Z-Bat out again. Do we have anything over here that looks like something right there? Alright, so Gilder's Morn is some distance to the east. Yeah, I think we can go there. I'm not exactly sure how long I'm going to run this video. It could run a really long time. We could die, for all I know, but we'll check here. We're going to go definitely looking at some places and trying to get some more stuff here. So I'm traveling with the lights just a little bit. You can see our meter filling up as we find new places. So we get 50 fragments. Something else is awaiting for our support. We can travel under this bridge. Anytime you see a circle, we can go here. Gilder's Morn is one of the more interesting places in this area that I've seen so far, and also one of the more dangerous. We do have a giant lighthouse up there or a giant boat that will kill us. But one way or another we'll go, and we can see right now, I'm going to hit M beforehand, we've already traveled really far to the east, but not relative to the rest of the map. So, step carefully. Gilder's Morn. The Morn is a stalagmite. See, it's just rising out of the ocean. A vast crag, and its foot has no safe harbors. The Corsair citadel nestles halfway up. The intricate system of winches takes the strain, and your ship rises slowly from the Z. Her hull creaks in protest. Grizzled sailors groan and cling to scansions. Higher and higher now the undersea shimmers. Like a glass below, children clamoring for crevices cheer and wave alarmingly. The winch motor slows, and you hang in a cradle next to a red-bowed pirate cutter. Yes, there's piracy in this game too. So we can attempt to go here. We don't have enough echo to do it, and we don't have veils. Veils is very important around pirates because when you know cunning, deceit, all of that. We can explore the Morn. We can introduce Blemigans. I don't even know what that means to the Morn. We can collect ill-gotten gains. We haven't done anything for them. We can overhear rumors of a pirate poet. We could do a high-risk challenge where we try to get a port report here, but that'll probably result in our death. And I'd kind of like to sail to a few other places here, so we'll explore the Morn. There's a surprising quality of actual landscape on the Morn. It's vertical, admittedly, but once you find the best paths and urchin roads, you can traverse it as what a rocky moor with an additional throat full of lurching terror. So we can... There are people, fisherfolk, sailors, and a shady couple, likely pirates, that are in the drowning down by the water's edge. They sit around the fire at the Z edge, passing around a bottle, and they're wagering riddles. Will you join them? So we can do a chancy chance. You have the chancy challenge. You have 60% chance of success to bet an echo on one of the riddles here, which we can do one. We can do a high risk challenge because we're not very high level yet. We only have 50 of this stat. You can attempt one of the riddles of the Pearl, which we have a very low chance of getting. And so we'll do one riddle. So one of the fishermen is bursting to try it. So one of the fishermen is bursting to try it. A cat's shadow, the fisher grumbles, what pays up. See, here we go. You gain 1 echo, you gain 10 fragments. You succeeded a page's challenge. So that's all for now. And the game has lots of little challenges like this. Let's listen for the pirate poet. Pirates fear the poet. Some say she's a clayman who freed herself from the power of verse. Possible. Others insist she's a personal muse of the king with 100 hearts. Unlikely. One claims she sails on the living ship made of the still screaming skulls of her victims. More sober voices mutter no, it's just an Alceus-class vessel. Whatever the truth, few have fought her and survived to tell the tale. Only the bravest captains risk the lonely parts of the Z where her flag is said to fly. So, rumors of other things, but not much else to do here. We will carry on. They may have shops here, but probably nothing really to buy. Sea fuel's more expensive, supplies are more expensive. Unless it's an emergency, you want to try and buy that in London. Excuse me. But let's sail again. I'm going to turn out my lights right now, even though that does increase terror. If only because this is pirate area and I am pirate bait pretty much. I'm not a very rich ship, but we still have 10 barrels of fuel. So we shall carry on. See, there is probably a pirate vessel right there. There's probably another one. Can we cut in between them? I don't know. But if we have our lights on, they're we're pretty much just like wide visible. But this is not a game where you want to pick fights, especially early. Especially when you're not strong enough to do things here. So we shall... Yep. See? Crack Pirate, Steam, Pinnacle, and they are really fast. So they're still searching for me because I'm in the light here. And I could potentially take them on, but I don't really want to. But yeah, they would have gone for the kill. And probably done a lot of damage that I really didn't need to be taking. So we'll sound the all clear here. And let's turn on the lights. Let's see where we are. So Hunter's Keep. That's another good place to stop. We have not quite gained a secret yet, but we do have... Anytime you hear that gong, that means something awaits you. And did we make it through this pass? Barely? Yep. Okay. So, Hunter's Keep. Another location, another port report to get. We will... I think I'll do just a little bit of a round here. And then after we drop off the tomb colonist, we'll head back to London to see what spoils we can get here. So, a quiet owl, a great old house. So, hump on the dark rock. Swathed in mist like 100 other undersea islands. But here, a grand house, a windows aglow, lamps impossibly green and lush with the false starlight. Raked gavel paths. You stand on the docks, the sea nudges the ship. An unexpected warm breeze carries the faintest trace of lavender. So we can present ourselves to the house, and we can unlock acquaintance with the sojourning with the sisters. We can walk in the gardens. We can reconnoiter the island, and that'll give us a port report. Well tucked away in the foregrounds, anything else. We can do a modish challenge. We can spy on the house if we want to. But the sea's silence. The ships rarely come here. Nothing changes. Even the weather. The house is the heart of the isle, the house and the sisters, but the admiralty may be happy to know nothing has changed. So that's another port report we can turn in. We can attempt to spy. But let's present to our house. So knock at the door and enter. Maid is a smoldering topaz eye shows you to the parlor where the three young women wait. A visitor, the youngest cries. The next youngest chuckles. The eldest sighs. Do excuse the indecorum, she says. Visitors are rare, and you're welcome. I'm Cynthia. The noisy one is Phoebe. The cheerful one is Lucy. You are in good time for lunch. Will you join us? So distant bells. And you're acquainted with the sisters of Hunter's Keep. Now we can choose who to have lunch with. Cynthia, the eldest, melancholy, pensive, occasionally dramatic. Lucy, the middle sister, sunny, restless, prone to giggling. Phoebe, soft voice, watchful and unpredictable. We have news as well, but we don't have something awaits us in port at this point because we're already here for lunch. So let's talk to Lucy because she's usually the one you want to talk to here. Lucy leans in over and whispers to you confidentially. A complex story about a butler, a pig, and inheritance. You don't follow all the details of the plot, but somehow the pig ends up in the attic. The butler in the vicar's bed, candles flicker, dishes enter and leave, and the wind butts gently in the window panes. By the time plum pudding arrives, because remember this is England, you are cheerful as you've been in months. We gained a supply, and we lost hunger, so that's a really good boon this early, because that's pretty much saving Echo here. You now have the gods of the Z-Stone's attention. There are multiple gods of the sea. That's all for now. We lost 10 terror, and we're acquainted here as well. Anything else we can do? We can give news and news. We can see what else we can do with our most recent news. Let's go ahead and launch. Like I said, there's other people will want news for many reasons. Where are we right now? I think there's a few things we can explore over here. We may be able to even get one secret if we play our cards right. So you can see the world is very large, but we only need to focus on just a little bit here. As there are some features on the sides off the water, because this is, remember, the Sunless Sea. That looks like that's fallen London, in fact. So look, we got enough fragments to fill this up. So pretty much we got a secret, which is good. In fact, the game will tell us, I believe. If we look in our hold, secrets. That's secrets, the root of all good. So discuss secrets with officers to improve skills, or we can use them as currency. Almost everything in this game can be used as currency, so that's pretty cool. You just have to understand that you don't always have to give it away right away. So that's another boat. So we're going to turn on our lights. I'd rather not have them do anything to me here. Let's see if we don't have anything else. Okay, this is where we're looking to go to next. So a rock breaks the water like the surface Z-Bat. Z-Beast notes. A Z-Beast notes a rock. See, we get little updates around here very well. We'll send the bat around. And Vanderbilt is some distance to the north, but some distance is not that far. So we'll go up this way. You can see our terror is rising. This goes Carson's Point. And there's lots of other little places that we can explore as well. And every time we do, we get just a few little bits of information. You see I'm turning on my lights from time to time just to try and get that extra tick, that extra bit of vision. We should be able to get this one just fine because we're actually going to port. So this is Vanderbite. Alright, so the trouble with tomb colonists, he brought a decaying immigrant north. Now what? Days of shrooms and roses, the noob colonist says. Vanderbite's shaking her head. This won't do at all. So, what does she have to say? I have no idea this place would be quite so unprepossessing. Perhaps we can liven it up yet with... If only I knew a helpful Z-Captain. Bring 10 units of mushroom wine to Vanderbite, and perhaps they'll have something for you. So we have an additional quest. So mushroom wine is a little bit expensive, but if we can grind out enough money and we bring one over here, we'll complete another quest and get more things here. But here's the tomb colony Vanderbite. On deck, you can hear the sound of 1,000 bandits dead make as they shuffle and cough. It's something like the world's most restless concert audience or the world's most plague-ridden cathedral. So we can explore, we can visit the first curator, or we can find out who's plotting and get a port report. So gather gossip. Along the coast of the Undersea is remarkably hard to die. The decrepit, nearly dead, leave London, become tomb colonists, and settle here in bandaged peace, but they don't give up their ties to home, so their politics. You gather a haul of complex clues enough to keep your contacts in London interested. So that's kind of the idea for the game here. We can provide what we promised here. We can explore a little bit. We're not going to visit the first curator right now. But here in Vanderbite, they favor candlelight over gaslight. The shadows are swagged like cobwebs. The tomb colonists stand still enough to be mistaken for sculpture, until they laugh or cough. One building and 3 seems abandoned. So disillusioned, a tomb colonist hobbles toward you. I will not, she hissed fiercely. I will not for me, the sanatorium, nor the emergence. I lived and I will die. She draws a sword from her sash. You jump back. Tomb colonists, fearless and long experienced, are famed for their dueling skills. She raises the sword, flourishes it, and beheads herself with a triumphant cry. Her head bounces across the street and groans towards you. That's all for now. We have a lamentable relic, and we have gained 1 terror, so someone just beheaded themselves, because I guess she was tired of living and just wanted to die. What a fun game! I think it's probably an appropriate time to head back to London, which is not close, but not too far. So we'll just do that real quick. We will try and save. If we run with our lights on, we'll be not getting terror so fast. But 11 terror is not really bad at all, so we can go without the lights here. So that is Sunless Sea, pretty much. We'll do a little bit of stuff in London just to kind of show you what that turn is like. It's a game that I've really enjoyed. It was very different from what I expected. I went into it expecting it to be a lot more like a FTL style game. Oh god. Please. Oh, you know what? We might actually be able to kill you. Let's find out. Anyway, like I said before, this is a game that I was expecting to be a lot more like FTL. In that you would have like a ship that you had, and eventually you would like die, the world would change all the time. But no, it's a very static world. It's a very story-driven game. So this is a vile old vessel, and the seas aren't safe. Take what you can and move on. So we have a cache of curiosities. A box of mystery. We can open it. So there's a stout crate unlocked with a cache of curiosities. So opening cache of curiosities. What's inside crates? The source of sustenance, the fundamental element of cargo. We get 2 fuel, crate, and coke, like coal, but more so. In the Department of Infernal Refractions would have it. So we gained 2 fuel, and we got rid of that. Like I was saying before, this is more of a story game. As you'll see, there's little random events like this too. A fallen stone now and then rocky fragments fall from the roof. Underneath the rocks of the older ships, the decks of the older ships are pocked with scars. A sound is no landlubber knows, and no sailor will ever forget. This one has smashed the glass of the deck binnacle. Ill omen, one sailor's cry. The god in the roof, the storm is angry. We can do nothing, one of these 3 nameless gods of the sea, an absurd superstition, or make a sacrifice to advent misfortune. In the stories is storm of the sea, honest, angriest, and the least reasonable of the sea gods. Better not take chances. So we can dump a supply, or we can say whatever here. we'll dump a supply. Your sailors know the words, you mumble them, a gift of the wine, and the fish is suitable, marked with the captain's blood, ow. Bound the copper wire and cast overboard from below, the package bobs for a moment, and then is sucked beneath the ship. So we lost one supply, you've lost one terror, we know something of the three gods of the sea, and you now have this god of the storm's attention, which is the god of the rocks all up above, apparently. But as I was saying, this is not a game of like combat turn-based. It actually did used to have turn-based combat and everything, but it's more about exploring a world that has its own very rich history. You can actually play the browser Fallen London game for free as well, if you'd like to know more. But the writing's excellent. The exploration aspect is pretty relaxing. It's kind of, like I said before, it's very much a terror game. It's very much a horror game, but it's the kind of horror game that you can sit down and relax and just enjoy, kind of like a good book. So there'll definitely be moments that are tense and everything, but it's not a game that relies on jump scares. It's a game that creates tension by limited resources and putting yourself in dangerous situations. So we're just going to go ahead and, you know what, I forgot to do one thing that I meant to do. We're not going to go to London quite yet, because I want to do something with the recent news that I have, because I can only use one, and I forgot to sell it when I was in the other place, because you can sell it for, in Vanderbilt you can sell it for like 20 Echo. So we're just going to turn it in here. I'm not even sure what turning in recent news does here, but we can do it, so we're going to. And then we'll do some of the London stuff. But like I said, Sunless Sea is a game that I've definitely been enjoying. This is a light ship. We can speak to the crew. They long for home. We can purchase fuel at a way markup here. So let's see here. Beneath the light and the bleaching glare of the lens, among the smells of oil and metal, you sip a tea and chat. Z's terror recedes. So we lost 5 terror. We now have 1 Z story, which is great. We actually may have everything we need. We have port reports. We have a tale of terror. We have a Z story. All we need is a memory of distant shores now. So that's pretty good. As we had somebody kind of crawl into us a little bit here. But yeah, that's really nice. So we got a Z story from that. So we can progress the quest a little bit. That's the kind of thing here, is that this is a game where, if you don't spoil it for yourself or read a bunch of guides or go through a bunch of walkthroughs, there's a lot to kind of dive in and enjoy. And there will be mistakes that'll be made, I'm sure. Big things that'll come out and smack you up. Your terror will get high enough and things will get horrible. But that's all part of the charm. It's not like something where something has to jump out of the screen and make you jump Twitch facecam style. There's just a good amount of tension and good writing. And that's hard to pull off, and I feel like they pulled it off very well. But the review man, Her Enduring Majesty Customs, works closely with both the Ministry and Public Decency. The Masters of the Bazaar, today they've selected you for inspection. So we have nothing to hide. We can attempt to bribe them. This will reduce your suspicion. Or that's not it. We can declare goods. We can try and talk our way out of a search. Today's duty officer is a patriot. Perhaps you can calm him. Chancy challenge. We don't really have good veils here, but we don't actually have anything. So we'll search. We'll let them search. They roam your deck like wolves. They tear through your blogs like termites, and then at last they leave. We don't have suspicions, so here we go. Now, when you return to London, there's always things that you can do here. You can return to the Harbor Master. The clatter of song and dockside, it soothes the soul. Are there messages for you? And we do have messages, in fact. We have another free evening. We have the Rose Market business and the Roser's Wharf. And something has changed underneath. So, in fact, the seas have changed here. We can look for your father's bones. You can see that we have almost everything except for memory from distant seas. We can look at our lodgings. We can go ahead and read the morning papers. And the continents is threatening war. They always do. We get another promotional coupon here, which is great because we get an additional supply. We can rest in our room to decrease our terror, but I don't think we need to do that. Although we could get ourselves a good night's rest. So if you don't have the echoes for go out roasting, best to stay home. Or we could go to the rest of the city. We'll just do that because there's really kind of just one more thing I'd like to do here on camera, just to give you the idea of kind of the dynamic of the game here, which is turning in your port reports. They'll pay for information from Z captains. Find out what and how So we go to Hunter's Keep. I trust the sisters are keeping well. Their citizens of our enduring majesty, notionally. So we get 1 fuel. We have 1 favor from the Admiralty. We no longer have the port report, and they give us 5 echo, and we can get 5 echo every time. Obviously, these are all close places, and ones that are further out will pay more, like Vanderblight. What have the nearly dead been up to? Well, we give them the port report, we get 1 fuel, 1 favor, we get 10 echo because they're a little bit further. So if you can sail out really far, you'll get more. It's kind of like when England back in its empire days would send ships out. It's pretty much the exact same dynamic. Let's see here. We have Quaker's Haven. Let's see. Yeah, we do. I've been trying the original rubbery lumps, have we? And we do have enough favors to unlock some other things, but I think that's kind of a taste of the game here. It's kind of what this Free Play Friday is a little bit more about, just to kind of sit around and play. I can revisit this game again for sure if you all like. And I kind of, if I do, I kind of like to play into it a little bit more just to show you all what kind of later in the game looks like instead of just the early stuff that's pretty easy to kind of go through and see. So let me know in the comments what you think, if you play it yourself, your thoughts as well. And I could do this again if you'd like. I mean, it's very text heavy, very read, which is not everybody's cup of tea. But if you're thinking about Sunless Sea, it's still available in the Humble Indie Bundle 16, which is still there. It's part of the Beat the Average +2 price range. But I do recommend it. I am having a lot of fun with it. Hope you enjoyed it. This is Asher. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.